The War of Return: How Western Indulgence of the Palestinian Dream Has Obstructed the Path to Peace, by Schwartz and Einat Wilf, translated into English by Alon Levy. Read by co-author Einat Wilf. Forward. How could anything new possibly be said about the Arab-Israeli conflict? As one of the most discussed conflicts on earth, arousing such strong emotions among Jews and Arabs, Christians and Muslims, historians, academics, politicians, and diplomats, it would seem that every detail of the conflict has already been thoroughly examined and debated. Nearly 70 years of failed attempts to solve the conflict, including 30 years of peace negotiations, have left behind an abundance of books, articles, speeches, testimonies, and shattered careers. Yet, as we discovered in our intellectual, political, and historical journey in the last few years, there is actually much remaining to be said. We both come from the political left in Israel. I, Einat, was a member of parliament on behalf of the Labour Party and advised and worked closely with some of Israel's most well-known leaders from the peace camp, including Shimon Peres and Yossi Beilin, the architect of the Oslo Accords. Adi worked as a journalist for decades for Israel's well-known progressive daily, Haaretz, and identified with Israeli left-wing politics. Both of us have been very strong proponents of the two-state solution, and we have supported all major efforts to reach peace based on this formula. Like many Israelis, we grew up believing that the Palestinians wanted no more and no less than Jews did, the right to self-determination in a state of their own. We believed that once the Palestinians would be able to establish their own state in the West Bank and Gaza Strip, there would be peace. To us, and to many Israelis, especially of the political left, the 1990s were years marked by great hope. These were the Oslo years and the beginning of the peace process. In 1992, in the first election in which we were eligible to vote, we welcomed the establishment of a Labour-led government under Yitzhak Rabin. This was the government that entered into the Oslo Accords in 1993 with the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, and signed a peace agreement with Jordan in 1994. Despite the horrific suicide attacks perpetrated by Palestinians on Israeli civilians following the signing of Oslo and the assassination of Rabin, Israelis kept hoping for peace. Those were the Israelis who gave Ehud Barak a landslide victory over Benjamin Netanyahu in 1999. Like them, we followed Prime Minister Barak with anticipation as he went to Camp David in the summer of 2000 to carry out his election promise to sign a final peace agreement with the Palestinians. But like many on the Israeli political left, we became increasingly baffled as repeated efforts at reaching an agreement between Israelis and Palestinians kept failing, even though the proposals presented to the Palestinians were in line with what they said they were seeking. The fact that the Palestinians walked away from two concrete and recent opportunities in 2000 and 2008 to establish their own state, free of settlements, in the West Bank and Gaza Strip, with a capital in East Jerusalem, started to plant serious seeds of doubt in both of our minds. We assumed that a people who seek independence and a state of their own would seize the opportunity when it presents itself. But not only had the Palestinians not taken either of these two opportunities to make peace with Israel and have a state of their own, what followed, starting almost immediately after Yasser Arafat walked out of the Camp David Peace Summit in the summer of 2000, was the Second Intifada, a series of sustained and brutal massacres committed by suicide bombers all over Israel in buses, cafes, and streets. And so, we each found ourselves increasingly doubting our basic assumptions about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, that this was a territorial conflict that could be solved by partitioning the land into two states, that the Palestinians only wanted a state of their own in the territory.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?